Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the podcast and the YouTube channel. Sal Vetri here, and today we have the 5-game LCS, the Americans. So a nice primetime start to these games as opposed to middle of the night or early afternoon. Nice, I believe, 5 p.m. start. March 28th slate is what we're getting here. Saturday, 50K to first. There's going to be 100K to first on the Sunday slate for the LCS. LCS returning after having the entire week off. LCS's season, I believe, ending this weekend, and then the postseason will be starting, so we get 2 more rounds of the LCS, the LEC as well. So I'm going to be here breaking it down kind of position by position, going through DraftKings salaries, touch on FanDuel, touch on some Monkey Knife Fight, some of their props. They're more or less props for fantasy points specifically. They have stuff for kills and assists, but I just really want to be looking at fantasy points specifically. If you're brand new here, welcome. A lot of new people finding the channel as there's a lack of League of Legends content, and as of, I'm recording this around 5 o'clock in the morning, East Coast time on Friday, March 27th. As of a couple hours ago, I woke up and noticed that there's now Counter-Strike gaming online for DraftKings, $10,000 to first. I've been sourcing and data mining the internet for statistics this morning, and there is none. So I'm going to keep diving a little bit deeper into that today. I'm sure we'll be able to put something together for that. That'll be pretty cool to play as well. But for right now, League of Legends, welcome if you are new here. Please, if you get any value from this video or podcast, hit the subscribe button. It costs nothing at all, and it really does help creators like myself just reach more and more people. We are getting very close to less than 200 subscribers away from 20,000. Fantastic. I appreciate it. If you do hit that subscribe button, thank you so much. I do have projections, my player pool, as well as these data sheets with interest marked, aka my player pool, available over on Patreon. If you are indeed interested, as well as some of those NBA and NFL simulated projections from the other sites. And I'll be trying to work on something for Counter-Strike as long as we can get some sort of data available after I do some more data mining later today. So if you are interested in all those things or any of them, they are linked down below in the description. Some free strategy guides down there as well. You can follow me on Twitter at DFS. Reach out if you have any reasonable questions. So that's it. Let's get into this 5-game slate, starting with your top laners. So the slate is interesting. So you have Cloud9, probably the best team in this league. You have them as a 303 favorite. They win 94% of their rounds. Only a 303 favorite, though, because Evil Geniuses is their opponent. Evil Geniuses have been fantastic. They just ended up having a big upset victory their last time out. It's interesting because there's a lot of toss-up games here. You have a 303 favorite in Cloud9. After that, your next biggest favorite is either GG or Immortal Gaming's at both minus 159. Those are not long odds for the League of Legends. And then you have 2 favorites at a minus 123 for Team Liquid, and then Team Solomon is going to be minus 175. So not big favorites. I'm going to be tracking this line movement all day. Definitely going to be playing just a ton of underdogs. And I think there's a really interesting strategy in all these close odd games. So you have both minus money right now in Fly in Team Liquid. So minus money Flies minus 106, and then Team Liquid on the opposite side is the bigger favorite, minus 123. That's pretty much a coin flip. I imagine ownership is spread out equally throughout that, so I don't know if you're getting an ownership edge either way. But for most of the times, depending on ownership later in the day, going to be running a ton of lineups to kind of get an idea for ownership. But I do think that there is something to be said to just take all these closer underdogs. Odds are 1 to 2 to 3 of them are going to win on a 5-game slate. Probably at least one. And when you're doing that, you're probably opening yourself up to more unique lineups, even if you are still pairing them with Cloud9. I do even think Cloud9's on upset alert tonight, or at least going into round 3, which they usually don't. Again, 94% win rate. So overall, I think that this slate sets itself up nicely for any team. I think all 10 teams on this slate are live to be played. And I don't think I've said that yet. I have usually been running around 7 team stacks a night. Now, it doesn't mean all 7 of those are getting into my 4-mans, but normally I'll have like 4% of like the 7th stack in there. With 10 teams tonight, I'm going to be cutting it down. I'll take stands in some places after I do projections and things like that, but it does seem like all 10 of these teams are in play. Obviously, some of them have higher ceilings when they win, and those will be the ones that I prioritize a little bit. So just starting all the way at the top here, you have the player who leads all top laners in kills, 3.06 by a pretty decent margin, is Broken Blade for Team Solomon, a 175 favorite today, has 5 assists per contest, top 30 when it comes to kill participation, and one of the least deaths per contest. So that's fantastic at 7,400 in terms of just kills and how everything sets up. 49 kills is 10 more than anybody else on the slate, but it's also paying 7,400 for a top laner where, I mean, you're getting a decent sized favorite, but for the most part, it's not that fantastic. Factoring in that for the top price, and I'm probably not going to be, although I'll have Broken Blade in my 150 max exposures, I'm probably not going to be, if I'm building 1 to 5 lineups trying to cater to most of the audience that watches this, probably not going to be trying to prioritize a top priced top laner when there's so many guys across the way. I mean, you have Licorice at for Cloud9 at only 6,800, and by far the biggest favorite. A 2.25 kills on average, that's very good for a top laner still. The 5.5 assists per contest is second on the slate, and first out of all the starters, so, and the player dies the least out of everybody. So, like, I mean, Licorice is in a situation where it might only go 2 rounds, or it might only go, I say 2 rounds, continuing to think the LPL and LCK during the week. It might only go, or might be a very quick finish, which is then you get bonus points for that, at least from a team perspective. But it's a situation where at a minus 303 favorite, 6,800 is going to be very chalky. So keep that in mind. If you're building 1 to 5 lineups, just get different elsewhere, I guess, in your secondary stacks or whatever you might be doing, 4-2-1, 4-3s. But yeah, it stands out like a sore thumb. Probably should be the most expensive, or at least above $7,000 in the slate. Looking down for a slight underdog, Counter Logic Gaming against GG. Counter Logic Gaming stands out to me, and so does Rune. So again, I like underdogs today. I think everybody on this slate is pretty much in play. So it really depends on just crunching out. If you build 150 lineups, don't just build 150, right? Make like 400 lineups so you can see everything that's happening, and then you can filter through them throughout the day, because there's going to be a lot of players in play today, and see which lineups usually stand out a little bit better. But you get Rune as a number 2 in kill participation, pretty much virtual tie with Solo. But number 1, if you're counting all the starters, at 73.4, you're getting right now solid numbers in terms of kills, solid numbers in terms of kills per contest, solid numbers in terms of assists. And when I say that, you have a player who's pretty much second in kills in this slate in Rune, but priced as the 6th most expensive player on the slate for top laners. Then you have very good assist numbers at 4.8. So Rune stands out, but I really do think everybody's in play. Like Kumo all the way at the bottom is not somebody that I'm going to, again, if you're playing 1 to 5 lineups, the biggest underdog top laner is probably not somebody you should want to be targeting. But if you're playing 150 or 50 plus, Kumo as a plus 221 underdog, as on the probably second best team on the slate that's facing the best team, Evil Genius's Kumo. Kumo has an upside during victory. He's going to have no ownership at just $5,000. Again, if you're playing 1 lineup, this is very risky because it's hard to realize that advantage over a long time. If you're playing 150 lineups or 50 plus, yes, I do think that the cheapest top laner and probably the cheapest players on most of these spots for Evil Geniuses are definitely in play today. Heading over to the mid laners part now. So just looking at mid laners, I'm going to touch on a couple of things from Monkey Knife Fight wise. So Monkey Knife Fight is a props they have for over-unders fantasy points, kills as well. But I have projections, so the fantasy points line up directly with those same fantasy point numbers in terms of kills, assists, and scoring as DraftKings. So there's been very soft lines, and I'm sure, and I've talked to them, that they're getting beaten over the last week or so. So if you want to use promo codes VETRI, VETRI, or the link below in the description, you'll get $5 free to play, and I believe 100% deposit match up to $50. It's very soft lines right now. It's to the point where like guys are pretty much priced at their fantasy points for averages, and it doesn't seem like it's taking into account wins. When players win, obviously they score a lot more because wins correlate with kills, assists, and all that for the team. So for instance, you're going to have a situation where, and I'll see if any of them stand out on this slate here, but you usually have situations. So right here, you have so Counter Logic Gaming, in terms of DraftKings, is going to stand out, right? A plus 122 slight underdog. And I actually like them for underdog, or for DraftKings and just salary-based sites where ownership matters, right? You have to try and get an edge on the field to actually beat them. Pole Belter is going to come in at 6,600 on DraftKings. That's fantastic to me, in my opinion, for a player who does get kills and assists and is probably going to be at lower ownership. Fantastic from a GPP large field perspective if you're playing a good amount of lineups. But when you look over on a place like Monkey Knife Fight, pretty much priced at this point for a victory. On average, 22.5 or so points, getting up around that on Monkey Knife Fight as the average prop number right there. So priced around the upper part of that, not priced for a defeat. So it's more of a push, but probably leans toward the under. There's some extreme examples that we can get to more and more as things go on here. So here's a huge one for Evil Geniuses. Evil Geniuses, Jizook is going to average as a mid laner 22.5 points in wins and losses. Now, obviously, in wins, going to get a lot more than that. But the biggest underdog on the slate is right now projected fantasy points wise for 27.5 points, the most on Monkey Knife Fight out of any single mid laner. That's a complete mistake. If they end up losing, which they are projected to do here, and when you're playing formats that don't take into account ownership, you should trust the Vegas odds even more. When they're projected to lose, he's not going to be getting anywhere near 25 plus points. Probably more so 25 would be the cap, but projected for 27.5. So as long as they do lose, which Vegas is expecting and most expected to lose on this slate, Jizook over on Monkey Knife Fight is almost a mortal lock as an underplay today as a less. So you can go ahead, you can play for $5 free if you just use that promo code. If you want to play more, 100% deposit match up to $50. That's the column G on my screen on each sheet. It's just the Monkey Knife Fight fantasy points props. They directly correlate with DraftKings. So if you do have the projections on Patreon, you can check those out. So in Nisqui for Cloud9, and Nisqui is really fun to play. Been playing pretty much as of last week when the LCS returned. You're getting the pretty much most assists, but definitely the most assists and pretty much the most kills per contest. 112 assists for Nisqui on Cloud9. 112. That's 40 more than anybody else in the slate. So yeah, $8,200 is fine to pay for if you want to get up to that point. Doesn't die all that often. Again, a huge favorite. Obviously, you have to get different elsewhere. 57 kills is second on the slate, only 6 behind Power of Evil for Fly. So yeah, I think that the top price point, again, is something that's completely fine if you end up wanting to get there. Probably going to be the highest scoring player on the slate, barring any type of upset. If you want to just get down and look at some other things, Power of Evil stands out completely. So the underdog in the matchup, but both sides of this are minus money. So it really is just a toss-up here. Power of Evil winning 57% of the matches for Fly, one starting every game so far. You're getting the most kills per contest at 63 total and 3.9 per contest. You're getting very strong creep score leading the slate, and you have the most damage. So Power of Evil should be a very highly owned player. I don't know if he will end up being so, but at 6,200 on DraftKings, that's a very strong price point. At 22.5 on Monkey Knife Fight, I actually do like the more there, or the over for people who use that terminology more, because you're getting 22.5. Even in a loss, mid laners in a loss will usually score the most points. In a victory, they won't score the most points. The AD carry will, but just naturally they'll score more points. So Power of Evil looks pretty good there. Coming down more, again, Jizook is somebody that I don't really like on Monkey Knife Fight because you're expecting the underdog to then win, and you don't have to do that when ownership's not factored in. But if you do want to try and get an ownership leverage here, you are getting 3.6 kills per contest. 57 kills is tied for the second on the slate, even though Jizook is the cheapest priced starting mid laner. You're getting pretty good numbers when it comes to creep score per minute, average assist numbers, and you're getting just a $5,600 price tag. Evil Geniuses is a live underdog as the biggest dog in the slate. They're going to be priced completely dirt low. I don't know if I go 4-man stacks with them, but I'm fine going with them in some 2-man stacks, maybe even 3-man stacks. Support players. So there's going to be some support players who just stand out like a sore thumb, well above the rest. The first one in doing so is going to be Vulcan all the way up top for C9. Vulcan is fantastic. I mean, Vulcan is probably somebody who gets into some of my captain spots today. Not ideal overall, but depending on how some 150s work out, I'm going to get some supports in my captain spot. You're getting 9 assists per contest. 144 assists on the year right now is 23 more than anybody else. Next up is Biofrost, who's the second most expensive. $6,400. It's an average price point in terms of just normal slates for support players, right? In terms of what the top prices usually are, it's not like it's 68 or 7,000 like we've seen for some of the top laners being priced up to this point. So I'm fine paying all the way up, and even barring in the ownership that's going to be on some of these top guys like Vulcan, like Biofrost, the second biggest favorite on the slate, who's averaging 0.94 kills per contest, who's averaging 72% kill participation, a virtual tie for the most in the slate, second in assists at 121, 7.56 per contest. Those two high-priced players are completely fine to me. If you want to just look somewhere else, so getting into sort of this mid-range of players, not really too keen to try and play Hakuo, a minus 159 favorite for Immortal Gaming. I'm not really too keen on getting there too much. Not probably going to get to Keith, and depending on who's starting for GG. I mean, you've had Keith start 12 games and Huhai start 4. Probably not going to really want to get to either of them as a minus 159 favorite. They're just not great players even when their team wins. But some of these other sides I'm okay getting to. Smoothie for Counter Logic Gaming has started all 16 games. You're getting average assist numbers. You're getting right now leading just by a fraction of a percentage in kill participation. So if indeed the upset does happen for Counter Logic Gaming over Golden Guardians, you're going to probably get even more of an upside from the average kills. Are going to go up from 0.75 to maybe like 1. You're going to get even more upside in terms of the assists, 6.4, maybe going up to around the 7.5. So Smoothie looks good as an underdog. Heading down to huge underdogs, once again, Evil Geniuses, Zazal at $4,400. $4,400 is like backup pricing at this point. You get 1 kill per contest. That's tied for the highest in the slate, all the way up top with Vulcan. You're getting 7.25 assists per contest. That's number 3 in the slate. Number 1 in first blood percentage, number 1 in creep score, and number 1 in damage percentage. The third cheapest support player on the entire slate is pretty much statistically the second best player on the slate right now. The issue is, and the problem is, it's such a big underdog. But again, this is a live dog to me. Zazal looks really good. Even if you had a loss here, Zazal, obviously, you want the win because then you get the 20-plus point upside out of a support player. But even if you had a loss that stayed close with these two best teams going at it today, in my opinion, you can still run away with a $4,400 player being like the third highest support player on the slate. Your AD carries, heading over to AD carry now. So Sven up top. So the players up top, yes, if you want to play Sven from the two biggest favorites, Kobe from Team Solomon and Sven from Cloud9, go ahead and get there. Sven is fantastic in terms of just leading the entire slate for AD carries in assists, in kills. You're getting it everywhere at this point. But again, that's if you want to stack that side of it. You're probably going to be putting Sven more so in your 80 carry spot and maybe getting a cheaper 80 carry or another player from Cloud9 in your captain spot, I would imagine. But those two players up top are fantastic. We can see what we want to do, and we'll see what happens with Immortal Gaming. So Apollo and Altec have split 16 games. Apollo started 5. Altec is starting 10. To be completely honest with you, they're both not delivering all that much. They both have won about 50% of the games that they've started in, but you're not getting much from them. I mean, Apollo does contribute in terms of kills, but it's a much smaller sample of 6 games. Neither of them are really picking up assists. Apollo has been the better player, so if you do see Apollo starting, I'll have slightly more interest there of getting there in lineups. But overall, Immortal is not a team that it seems like just as a full-on team stack, 4-team stack that I'd be getting to early on. Team Liquid as well, so 13 starts for Double Lift. That's probably where you're going to get the start. Tactical has started 3, so I guess just keep an eye on it. But as long as, if Double Lift is going to start here, 13 games, again, not the greatest of statistics overall. You are getting very good creep score, but we don't really care too much about that as an AD carry. You're not seeing the kills, you're not seeing the assists, and partially because of that is a slight favorite today, but only winning 38% of their matches. I probably like the other side of this more with Fly. Like, you have Wild Turtle all the way at the bottom price point, has started all 16 games. It's a toss-up game here between Team Liquid, but you're getting Fly as the cheapest player, a minus 106, not favorite, but underdog, minus money underdog, and you're getting 4.8 assists per contest. That's well above average for this price point. You're getting 2.8 kills per contest. That's around average. Yeah, you're getting terrible damage rate, but it's a $6,000 player that, the point being here is I'd rather have a $6,000 Wild Turtle than Double Lift at $7,400. There's players in between there that I would also rather have. So just to point out one, Bang for Evil Geniuses. Again, just a trend of going against Cloud9. I do like Cloud9 today, but as somebody who plays 150 lineups, I'm going to have both sides of that. Not in the same lineup. I probably don't stack the entire game, although it's interesting. I'm not going to do it. So Evil Geniuses, you have Bang here at 5.1 assists per contest. That's tied for the 3rd highest on the slate. You have very good damage rate in the 30% range. That gets closer to the elite number. There's only 4 players on this slate that have that, and only 2 starters that have a 30+% damage rate. You're getting above 3 kills per contest. There's only 2 starters who have that. One of them is going to be Bang at just 6,600. The other is the opposite side of this. Sven, the best player on the slate from a 80 carry perspective. So I think that looks good. Stixie for Counterlogic Gaming, I imagine you get to start there. 14 out of the 16 starts. Wind has started 2 other ones. Stixie is okay to get to. You are obviously taking underdogs there. The problem with Counterlogic Gaming and Stixie is in 14 games when Stixie starts, they only win 14% of their games/rounds. So, yes, going up to the top here, Sven and Kobe look fine. And more towards the mid-range, I'm probably going to be not getting to as much of, if you're just playing a few lineups, the mid-range of the Apollo Double Lift type of section, probably not getting to FBI for Golden Guardians, just doesn't produce even in victories. Has the highest damage rate though, so interesting to see there. But then getting back towards the bottom end here with Bang, Stixie, all the way towards the bottom with Wild Turtle if you like some of those upsets. Jungler, so you have a really expensive jungler. Blabber is going to be the best jungler on the slate, hands down. Out of all the starters, you're getting 3.7 kills per contest. The next closest starter in terms of kills is 2.06. So over 1.5 more kills than anybody else that's going to be starting today. And then when you take into account assists, almost 1 assist more per contest. The highest damage rate out of all the starters on the slate. The highest creep score on the entire slate. This is the best jungler, and it's priced like it. It's priced as if it's a mid laner or really an AD carry at 7,800. So I think it's okay to get to. Probably somewhere that I'm not going to look just closely in favoring and getting there in all my lineups. Like, I'd rather have Sven, and then you're paying a lot of money for your AD carry from Cloud9. I'd rather have support player from Cloud9. I'd rather have the mid laner. So it becomes a little bit nisky. It becomes a little bit more tougher to fit in Blabber as a priority stack, maybe getting into some of the 2-man or 3-man secondary stacks. But a fine option if you can find the money to actually end up getting there. Heading down a little bit more. So for Fly as a minus 106 underdog, minus money underdog once again, I do like Santorin. So Santorin here, you're getting very good assists, especially in wins. So wins, you're obviously going to have more assists and kills. The assist that you're getting right now, 6.4 per contest, is 2nd highest out of all the starters on the slate. You're getting also pretty decent kills here, the 3rd highest at 2.1. And if a win does happen, those average numbers are going to be a little bit higher. So you're getting a $6,200 player who, if the victory actually was happening, or if they were just slightly more of a favorite compared to the other side of this, where you're going to end up having whoever between Broax and Schernfire start. Again, they've split 16. That's the opposite side of this game. They're in that $7,000 price range. They're $1,000 more expensive, even though they're barely more of a favorite here. And also, they don't produce the same type of numbers. So Santorin is going to be the jungler I'd rather have on the opposite side of that game as a slight underdog there, at least right now. And just heading down more, some other players down at the bottom. Evil Geniuses, I'm probably not going to get to their jungler all that much. In victories, junglers don't usually see the biggest spike in scores. They obviously see more, but assists are going to be fine there, but you're just not getting a lack of kills as a jungler starter for Evil Geniuses. Yeah, it seems like a tighter core around the junglers. I think Santorin, the two guys up top, look fine between Dardoch and Blabber, and then just rotating other guys through some of your smaller stacks from whichever team stacks you end up getting to. Team overall now. So just looking at these teams, the leaders in kills per game is Cloud9. Shouldn't really shock anybody. 15.3 per game is more than 3.5, more than anybody else in the slate. The leader in deaths per game, so least deaths per game, that is once again Cloud9, 6.4. The most deaths per game right now is going to be two teams. Counterlogic Gaming, 14.3 against Golden Guardians. So another reason why you're seeing Golden Guardians as the favorite, even though they barely win any games. And then number two, though, is Golden Guardians. So the teams that die the most per contest are right now Golden Guardians and Counterlogic Gaming. The thing that's interesting is the teams that get the least kills per contest, least kills, Golden Guardians. So not only does Golden Guardians die a ton, they don't get kills. Now they're facing a team in Counterlogic that does die, but Counterlogic at least gets a little bit more kills, around 10 per contest compared to 7.8 for Golden Guardians. I'm going to be playing this slate right now, even though Counterlogic is a slight underdog. Probably going to be playing this slate as if Counterlogic is the favorite, which means that I get more of them when most people probably don't. And you get more beneficial price points on them. So I think that's one spot that does stand out. If you're looking at other teams that don't really generate a ton of kills, you have Immortals. Immortals right now is a pretty big favorite. Their price points are pretty high up there on most of their guys. Their games do go a decent amount, 36.2. That's good to see. But only 8.4 kills per contest is the second fewest on the slate, and you're paying steep price points for them. They die a decent amount, 10 times per contest. I think there's some spots where two-man stacks for Immortals make sense, but don't stand that as a team that overall, and we'll see what ownership says. Like if there's no ownership on them, then just naturally for game theory reasons, you get a little bit more of them because each piece of ownership that goes to a player or stack makes them a worse play, just naturally, because then you're splitting prize pools everywhere and it makes your overall upside and EV not the same. But Immortals, probably not a team that on the top looks great. Cloud9 looks fine. It's going to be looking fine to everybody. Team Solomon to me looks completely fine. Golden Guardians is probably a team that I get to Counterlogic Gaming on the opposite side. Team Liquid here. Team Liquid doesn't die. They die the second fewest in the slate, 7.8, but they also don't get a lot of kills, 8.8. So between Team Liquid and Fly, it's pretty much a toss-up. I'm probably going to go to the underdog there. So Fly and Counterlogic Gaming as underdogs look okay to me. 100 Thieves against Team Solomon. I do prefer Team Solomon here. We'll see what happens with ownership. 100 Thieves, just individual players don't stand out all that much, but I imagine that happens for everybody on the slate. And you get really low ownership. Evil Geniuses, I prefer Cloud9 if I'm playing like cash or just a couple lineups, but Evil Geniuses is going to be a stack that I have. Not yet sure if I have 4-man stacks of them. I will not stack Cloud9 with Evil Geniuses, but Evil Geniuses is not a bad team. They were number 2 in the slate in kills per game, only behind their opponent Cloud9. They only die 9.9 times per game. That's average to below average for this slate. Below average for this slate, fourth fewest. So you're getting upside out of them. Their games do last 34.2 minutes. Cloud9 finishes games 30.2. So it might be a shorter finish there. It could be something that is a bloodbath just because these teams get so many kills individually, but they don't die all that often either. So it'll be interesting to see. Cloud9 could be an interesting fade today just based on ownership in large field GPPs. Again, if you're playing 150 lineups, you're probably not getting 0%, but I do think Evil Geniuses is the biggest underdog on the slate. Looks good. There's about 3 underdogs that at least I like so far today. All right. That's where I'm at, gang. If you do want to see my projections in player pool, they're available down below on Patreon. Also offering other things over there as well for all the NFL and NBA simulations that you're seeing on all the sites. Check out Monkey Knife Fight. I touched on some of their AD carry or some of their support stuff. Looking at some of the other stuff on here, Acadion for their jungler at 18.5 points, they have as the over-under there. I'm going to probably have that as... That's going to be pretty neutral for me. I probably end up staying away from that one. But the one that does look good, closer for Golden Guardians at 12.5 points, I'll take the over there. Even if I don't think Golden Guardians is necessarily the better team, they are the favorite, so you're not factoring in ownership. But 12.5 points, even in a loss, you can see Closer getting there. So 12.5 fantasy points. In a victory here, I would have Closer somewhere around 16, so definitely over that. In a loss, I would probably have Closer somewhere around like 12.8 to 13, so still looks good. So obviously lots of upside there. So those are some of the things that you can check out. Again, it's $5 free, so totally free to play, nothing, no catches or anything. You use the promo code VETRI or click the link down below in the description. And then if you want to play some more over there, 100% deposit up to $50. So you want to try it out, play some more games, leverage a little bit more, put $10 in, you'll get another 10 for free if you use that link and promo code. Appreciate you tuning in. Hit the subscribe button before you go on any of these platforms that you are listening or watching on. Hit the notification bell if you're watching on YouTube, because I'm going to start going live a little bit more often for some of these things. So make sure you get there so you can answer any questions, or I can answer any of your questions that you have on some of those live streams. But thanks for tuning in, everybody. I really do appreciate it. Hope you have a great start to your weekend, rest of your weekend, whenever you're watching this. Be safe out there, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed that video. Above my head, if you're not already subscribed to this channel, I do ask you if you can please hit that subscribe button. It helps me out a good amount to reach more people. You can also follow me on Twitter. That's over there. Right in the corner is my @SalVetriDFS Twitter. And then above, you'll find my Patreon link. You can click on that if you want more exclusive content for me. Or a video is going to pop up, so why don't you check that one out as well. I think it's going to be beneficial for you. Thank you so much again for tuning in, and I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day.